When you think of Macbeth, who comes to mind? Macbeth himself, right? Lady Macbeth? Maybe Macduff? But what if I told you one of the most important characters is someone you probably barely remember? A quiet nobleman who doesn't say much, but sees everything. Today, we're diving deep into the psychological weight of a character you might have totally overlooked.
So yeah, who is this quiet hero? We're talking about Angus, and his story? Wow, it's this incredible journey from just a loyal guy doing his job to someone who has to make a huge moral stand. It really tells us a lot about how regular people, people like us, deal with it when times get truly dangerous.
All right, first up, the quiet observer. Before we can get to his big moments, we got to understand who he is at the start, right? We need to establish that baseline of loyalty and calm. Angus is the perfect example of this type of person, the quiet observer. And we all know someone like this, don't we? The person in the room who isn't talking much, but you can just tell they're taking it all in. They're the ones who feel that shift in the atmosphere, who notice something's off way before anyone says a word.
So, what's he like at the beginning? Well, for starters, he's super loyal to the good King Duncan, a total company man, you could say. He's grounded, steady, not the kind of guy who's going to fly off the handle. But here's the key. Underneath that calm exterior, he's got this incredibly sharp, perceptive mind. And that, right there, is going to be his superpower.
Okay, so now things start to get interesting. Section 2, cracks in the crown. This is where Angus goes from just watching to getting seriously worried, because he's seeing the new king, Macbeth, start to completely unravel.
And man, does it happen fast. Just look at this timeline of Scotland's fall. Under King Duncan, everything's stable, everything's in order. Then Macbeth takes over, and okay, there's some hope, but also a lot of uncertainty. And that uncertainty just nosedives right into pure violence and paranoia. And Angus, he's there for the whole ride, just watching and taking notes.
And this is the moment. This is where it all changes for him. He's no longer just a neutral observer. He's too perceptive for that. He starts to get this gut feeling, that what everyone's seeing on the surface, it's just a mask for something really, really dark underneath.
This puts him in a terrible spot, right? He's got this huge internal conflict brewing. I mean, on one side, you have his sworn duty, loyalty to the king, to the crown. But on the other side, you've got his loyalty to his country, to Scotland. And he sees his country being torn apart by that very same king. So what do you do? What do you do when your job and your conscience are at war with each other?
And this brings us to the absolute core of why Angus is so important. He basically becomes a psychologist for a tyrant. He's not just seeing a bad king, he's diagnosing the sickness inside the man.
And this line says it all. He sees past the terrifying tyrant that everyone else sees. He sees what's really going on. A man secretly sick at heart. Just think about that. He sees a broken person just being consumed by his own guilt and fear. It's an incredible insight.
So what does that sickness actually look like? Well, Angus basically breaks it down. He sees the fear, this out-of-control fear that's making Macbeth so cruel. He senses the massive guilt that's just eating him alive, and of course, the raging paranoia. Macbeth is seeing enemies behind every curtain, and Angus is picking up on all of it.
Now, what's really important here is that Angus doesn't just, fly off the handle and start a rebellion. No way. He's not some reckless othead. He's a cautious thinker. He sees all this and he processes it. He thinks about the danger, about what happens next. He's the total opposite of a reckless rebel.
And all that cautious thinking, it leads us here, to the final part of his journey, the courage to act. This is where all his quiet observation and analysis finally boils down to one clear moral choice.
So let's just pause and think about the position he's in. I mean, how do you even begin to resist a ruler that everyone is terrified of? When speaking out could get you killed, how do you find the courage to take that first step? It's a huge, huge question.
Well, Angus gives us a kind of roadmap, a really structured path to rebellion. Step 1, he sees the injustice for what it is, no denial. Step 2, he thinks through the danger, for himself and for everyone else. Step 3, and this is so important, he doesn't go it alone. He talks to his allies, he builds a team, and then, and only then, does he make his move.
And his choice is clear. That whole internal conflict, he solves it. He chooses Scotland over Macbeth. He joins up with Malcolm's army, ready to fight to bring sanity back to his home.
So when you boil it all down, what does Angus really stand for? He's a symbol of moral clarity in a world of chaos. He's about psychological strength, not just physical strength.
He's the picture of quiet courage. And maybe more than anything, he's what it looks like to be a truly thoughtful citizen.
And really, that's the big lesson here, isn't it? His journey just goes to show you that heroism isn't always about being the loudest person in the room. It's not always about the big dramatic sword fight. Sometimes it's the quietest, calmest voices that end up having the power to fix things when everything's falling apart.
Which kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. Angus isn't just some dusty character from a play written centuries ago. He's a type of person we see all the time. So the real question is, who are the quiet, thoughtful, perceptive people in our lives right now that maybe, just maybe, we should be paying a little more attention to?